welcome to another segment of classical guitar technique for metalheads. When I came up with the idea for this series, I was thinking, you know, there just has to be a way to equally piss off both your classical guitar teacher and your electric guitar teacher with just one video. So today we're looking at that sick intro riff to Eyeless. This is the part that Mick plays. This is on their debut album. I think it came out like in '99, something like that. And one of my favorite albums of all time. I used to listen to this album while reading the Chronicles of Narnia. So some of those books are pretty twisted. So it was a very creepy and terrifying combination. And, you know, I had an excellent childhood. So I grew up really loving this music, and so I find myself sometimes fiddling on some of these riffs, you know, with the classical guitar in my hands. So I was messing around with this one the other day, and I discovered that I think the best way to play it utilizes a type of stroke that you hardly ever see in classical guitar music. I can think of one piece that has it. There are probably some other styles that incorporate it more, but I thought it was quite fascinating. So I wanted to go over what that was, and then it made me think, well, you can definitely use this for different stuff too. But if you're going to play this lick finger style, this is the way that I think it sounds the best. So talking about the lick a little bit first, all it is you have two semitones ringing against each other. So you have like one fret and then the note on the very next fret down. But they're not played one at a time the whole time. I mean, that's creepy enough, but when they ring into each other, that's what makes this super creepy. You get that dissonant thing, and anywhere on the guitar where you find that, it's going to be very creepy stuff, right? So I think that's what makes this riff really creepy. If you're in standard tuning like I am, I would play the F sharp or whatever it is in your tuning on the first string, 14th fret, and then you're going to play the F natural on the, is that going to be the 18th fret? 15, 16, 17, yeah, 18th fret right below on the second string. Okay, if you're in a drop D or whatever, then move it down 2 frets to 12 and, what is that going to be, 16? Yeah, 12 and 16, it'll be there. If you're on a 6 string. And Slipknot plays it in the drop B, so I guess this is where Mick is. Okay. So, first hold these notes down at the same time. And if you're playing an electric, then you've got no problem. You've got a nice cutaway here. If you're playing a classical like me, then we have to just kind of grunt and bear this because it's hard to fret. But it's just the way that it is. We're used to it, right? So this is the finger combination that I came up to play this lick. So it's kind of inspired by classical guitar tremolo, which is a PAMI pattern. So we have, first we're going to play the notes more independently. So we have 3 notes on the first string. So I do AMI for those 3. Then we have 1 note on the second string, and I do P for that one. That's how the tremolo thing, that's how that comes into play. So A, M, I, P. Now another note on the first string by itself, I do that with A. And then another note on the second string by itself, I do that with P. So it's A, M, I, P, A, P. Now once we do that, we're on strings 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now we're going to do, I think it's 10 strokes. 10 strokes total, where we're going to play both strings together, right? And I was messing with this, and I think when Mick does it, he does alternate picking, and it sounds great the way he does it, but this is like a different instrument, right? So I tried that, and it kind of sounded too back and forth for me. I couldn't really come up with something I was happy with, so I started doing this weird thing where I would do like a free stroke, but just play both of the strings. So, you know, in classical, we have rest stroke, where you're going to push into the string and land kind of on the string behind it. Then we have free stroke, where you're in front of the string and your finger lands in the air, okay? So this is like neither of those. It's like a double free stroke. So I'm just doing MI back and forth, which is going to be strong for most people. And instead of just doing one string, I just angle it back a little bit and hit the second string as well. And I think it's really effective. So after the A, M, I, P, A, P, then you just do M, I, M, I, M, I, M, I, M, I, M, I, M, I. And a total of 10 times. So I guess it's 5 patterns. Yeah, 5 MI patterns. And then the secret to me that makes this work, and you can apply this to other stuff too sometimes in fingerstyle, is I put my thumb on the 3rd string. This is actually really huge, because with this stroke, you know, what if I hit the 3rd string on accident? Well, now it sounds like that, right? And, you know, one of the things I've realized about Slipknot's debut album, after listening to it for decades now, is how well crafted it is. It's amazingly well crafted. Those guys are incredible. When I was a kid, it sounded so chaotic to me. I just only got the feeling of chaos. I could not have imagined the amount of crafting that went into that music, right? So this is very dissonant, but I don't think it means we can start being sloppy and adding in notes that are not there, right? Because they don't do that. You know, you hear Mick play this live and it's perfect. He's not just like, well, it's dissonant, so I'm gonna play any old chord. No, the part is very specific. So that inspires me to say, okay, be sure you don't hit any extra strings. So I have a cheat here, which is you just put the thumb on the 3rd string. Now, if you hit it, you don't hear it, right? So then you can just pluck away, do your half free stroke, half rest stroke thing. And you'll never hear it. So that's a big part to me in making this technique work. Is that when you get to those double strokes, just put your thumb on the 3rd string, and it'll keep you from making any tones that shouldn't be there. And you can apply that to a bunch of different stuff in guitar playing. You can track with your thumb, and you can cancel out, you know, open strings or strings that you might accidentally hit, but you don't want them to ring. So that was the, I guess, most functional way I could come up with to make it work. The only other fingering I'll mention is you can just IM the whole thing if you want. That's something else that works, but if I can work in kind of a detailed finger pattern, I just like to do that. I think it's fun, and I think it helps you kind of put some character into what you're doing, especially if it feels like, you know, it's good for your hand. So the only other thing I want to say is that you know, I would mess with this. So this is like the riff. We know of this because this is the beginning riff in Eyeless, okay? But this is also like a mechanism. So once I figured out, well, this thing works really well, I thought, you know, how else might it work? So I started moving it around, and, you know, one of the first things I might do is try the same notes but just in different registers. So we have F sharp and then F natural. How about this F sharp and this F natural? So it's just down 1 octave, and do the same thing. Interesting. We could do it here. Here's F sharp, here's F natural. Same notes, but a different position, different strings. interesting. That's what that sounds like. Okay. And then, I think it sounds interesting in the lower register. So let's take it down another octave. So here's an octave down. Here's my F sharp, and here's my F. And notice I'm still utilizing the thumb. Before it was on the 3rd string because that was right behind the ones I'm hitting. Now it's on 6 because I'm hitting 4 and 5. So I'm still using the thumb cheater trick. You just move it around. That's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. So you get some different sounds. And then I thought this is really advantageous for a lot of different stuff that you could do, either thirds like that, or maybe like a I don't know, but it's something I really want to play around with. I thought this is actually cool, and it might work in a bunch of different ways. So then, take this and go write something on your classical, and then take it to your teacher, and they say, "Oh, I like that. Where did you come up with that?" And tell them, "Well, I learned the technique from, the intro lick to Eyeless from Slipknot, like everybody does."